Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the Court of the Idiot Jester. Ooh, I'm sitting in a gold mine. Right, we got a good one today. Just extraordinary. Welcome to the Court of the Idiot Jester. Buy me a coffee, subscribe. Please subscribe to my channel. That helps tremendously, and put your notifications on so you can tell when I'm whittling. Right, so here we go. James Esses, who many of you will be familiar with, released an article on the 27th of September because, as he said, somebody took one for the team, right? You ain't kidding, right? Now, this article, which is available in the Dubras, as per usual, good folks, is called Going Undercover at a Stonewall Workshop. Can you imagine? It was called he's subtitled it, Introduction to Trans Allyship, an Ideological Echo Chamber. I'm going to take you through some of it, then go and subscribe to James and read his article, which is very well written and is very accessible. Although for some reason I'm having problems getting the videos to work. I'll try again on a different device later. But I've had a look at them and oh my God. Just sit there with your eyes agog, you know, and your chin on the floor at how absolutely insane these mad anti-gay buggers are, right? Now, here. It can be difficult, says James, to shine a light on Stonewall's activism, which so often takes place behind closed doors. However, I've obtained a recording from a recent Stonewall workshop for workplaces. The title of the workshop was Introduction to Trans Allyship. How did I obtain this, as James asks of us? Asks of himself. Well, I have a confession. I had a spy on the inside, observing and recording the entire thing. Needs must. Thank you, James. And please do thank your erstwhile spy. Yep. If anyone thought that Stonewall was on its way out, given the number of organisations who have dropped from its workplace schemes over recent years, think again. This workshop was attended by senior members of staff from a range of organisations, including University of Sheffield, King's College London, Premier Foods, Allen & Overy, Sage Publications, and even Budweiser Brewing Group UK&I. Stonewall is still very much able to spread its ideological message. From the moment the workshop began, it was clear that the majority of attendees were already devout followers of gender ideology with pronouns in their Zoom names. The host of the workshop was trans woman Morgan Page, trans program manager at Stonewall. Page began the day by telling attendees, quote, "You may have heard of Stonewall if you've opened up any right-wing newspaper over recent years." Close brackets. Not brackets, speechy marks, you know. To commence a workshop of professionals by trying to denigrate those with concerns over gender ideology as right-wing is extraordinarily telling. Plus, as I've said previously, this isn't about left or right, it's about right and wrong. The first session of the workshop, entitled In Conversation, was with Maya Weston, they them, who works in people orientations for the company that owns Total Jobs, clearly someone with significant influence over recruitment practices in the UK. Weston began by claiming proudly to have hands-on control over how my organisation interacts with LGBTQ people. How interesting that the term control was used. Weston went on to say that his role is ensuring organisations' terminology is correct. This means not saying mother in maternity policies. It's not ending anytime soon, folks, is it? Right, it's not. Without primary legislation, this won't end. This policing of language that now occurs within workplaces is desperately worrying. Crucially, who has bestowed the right to decide what language is correct upon Weston? For those who dare to question an individual requesting to be recognised as the other sex, Weston described this as bigotry. That doesn't sound particularly inclusive now, does it? Particularly concerning was when Weston suggested that work people should recognise an employee's chosen gender at work so it can act as a box to be ticked if that individual presents at a gender clinic. This is dangerous. Employers should not be used unwillingly or willingly towards determining healthcare that their employees will receive, particularly when such healthcare comes with the risk that cross-sex hormones and sex reassignment surgery have. This is its workplace as prescriber. It's really worrying, isn't it? You know? The next technique used by Stonewall was a dollop of scaremongering, with attendees being warned that if they tell a black trans employee they cannot transition, that the company will cause the entire black diaspora to become disengaged. You literally couldn't make it up. There's your critical race theory. What was particularly striking was the sense of entitlement being presented. Weston said that if a manager ever asks a trans employee what they can do to help them, the employee should essentially respond with, "Why should I give you the help to do your damn job?" Is it any wonder that employers have the fear of God put into them about slipping up for fearing of being on the receiving end of such abuse? I've said it before, folks, and I'll say it again. Brief interjection by the jester here. Repeal the GRA, get it out of the Equality Act. Get it gone, right? Get it gone. Equally, if a co-worker makes a mistake, for example, misgendering a colleague, and panics, thinking, "Oh no, what have I done?" which you should never do, by the way. Weston chastises them for putting the focus on themselves and patronising tells them, "Okay, darling, calm down." Authoritarian, subclinical psychopathy. Psychopathy, right? Herein lies the crux. Nothing is ever enough for these ideologues. Never, ever apologise. Never deny, confirm or explain. That's it. I couldn't help but laugh at the end of the session, however, when Weston ironically signed off with "Ciao, guys. How dare he assume that we all self-identify as men?" Then there was the main event. The next session was described as the main event. The anticipation was intense. Would we be hearing from a global expert on biology? Was Nancy Kelly coming back? If only. Instead, what followed was a 30-minute pop quiz in which attendees were asked the definition of terms such as sex assigned at birth, gender dysphoria, and shockingly, pronouns. A primary school student could tell you what pronouns are, yet senior UK professionals were spending precious time being quizzed on this. That's asking them to learn the mantras. You know? Amen. Same thing. Okay? Trans women and women. Yes, you've got it. Right, go on out now and disrupt society and upset people, especially the gays and the women. And while you're at it, try and get hold of the kids, will you? What stood out for me during this session was the complete and utter lack of professionalism from Stonewall, almost as if the entire thing was one big joke. Before the quiz began, Morgan Page flashed up a Stonewall disclaimer emphasising that the information being provided does not constitute legal advice and is not intended to be a substitute for legal counsel on any subject. This was telling, particularly given the fact that this workshop was specifically aimed at HR professionals. It gave Stonewall carte blanche to spout whatever ideology they liked without being held accountable for it. While the disclaimer flashed on screen, Page told attendees, "I just want to point out that, like Elle Woods in the classic film Legally Blonde, I'm absolutely certain if I wanted to become a lawyer, I could." Lived experience. Page went on to say that he tried to become a lawyer through osmosis by dating many, many, many lawyers. They're lunatics. Where's the charity place? The charity commission? Where are they? Get them. They're terrorists. If you don't get that yet, why doesn't anyone get that? It's a prevent issue. They're terrorists. They're creating terror in the workplace. On the topic of a few minutes later, Page said, "I know, I don't look a day over 18. On the topics of gender recognition certificates, Page dismissively described the ongoing debate in Parliament and the cost around men accessing women's space as a whole drama in conflama. On the issue of the spousal veto under the Gender Recognition Act 2004, Page used the example of Britney Spears' divorce from Kevin Federline, as if that bore any similarity whatsoever, before accusing those who support the veto of using it to control the lives of trans people in abusive or unhealthy relationships. You understand how mental these people are. This is beyond offensive. It is absurd. Remind me again why employers are willing to forego time and money to send staff to these events. The offensiveness continued. Page discussed the term cis, getting attendees to parrot back Stonewall's definition. Page went on to tell attendees categorically that it's not a slur, it's just Latin, before saying that some people online really get in a huff about it. This is deeply offensive to those who reject the term cis and the imposition of ideology over reality. We then went back to more narcissistic self-talk. Page told us that the people often wonder where his accent comes from and whether he's American. He said, "I'm Canadian, don't worry, I'm one of the good ones." Can you see it? For it to be suggested that to be American is to be a bad one at an event supposedly celebrating diversity and inclusion is beyond telling. On non-binary people, we were told that the same people choose to use this term as a political statement, pushing back against patriarchal structures. This is the mask slipping. Far from being an innate identity, we are now told it is a political statement. And then they don't know whether non-binary people are covered by the law. Throughout this entire session, there was not a single acknowledgement of the fact that the definitions of these terms are heavily contested and highly controversial. They were spouted as if they were fact. I'm going to leave it there because I want you to go and read it. right? Because the rest of it is utterly gobsmacking. And also, James has provided us with videos of the relevant clips that you can look at. And then just go and have a look. There's a blog called Estrogeneration. These sick, perverted, fetishistic, paraphiliac men. And women. A proportion of whom were mentally ill. Go and have a look. It's a brilliant article and it's a brilliant expose, so I'm not going to take you through all of it because James has gone to the bloody trouble of writing it, writing it. Least we can do is read it and watch the videos. So you can, all right? They're in the Dubris. Go and have a look, right? It will leave you speechless. Good job it didn't leave me speechless. I'll see you later.